In all things give thanks. One thing I wanted to mention, somebody had asked about the ritual of the fire, and that's part of one of the things of the significance of fire. But also there's two other areas where fire is significance that ties into the ritual. And of course, that's in nature. Fire is a cleansing and purification of that which it burns. But it's also birth and renewal, because out of that come flowers and trees that don't grow unless there's a forest fire. Okay? And then in ancient philosophies, in the Greek and Egyptian philosophies, the myth of the phoenix at the end of its reign builds a wooden funeral pyre and ignites itself in flames and burns to the ashes. And out of the ashes rises the new phoenix for another 500 years of good luck and good fortune. So again, it's a purification and a cleansing process. So just thought I'd add that in there in case anybody was interested. Okay, so my first point, well, funny, it's in all things give thanks. And in St. Paul said in 1 Thessalonians 5:16-22, he had a little bit of advice for the Thessalonians on how to deal with people. He said, see that none render evil for evil unto any man, but ever follow that which is good, both amongst yourself and to all men. Okay, so this is an attitude of treating people. Rejoice evermore. So always be in a place of praise and rejoicing. Pray without ceasing, which doesn't mean that we're beseeching or begging. That means we're constantly connected with the source. And he says, in everything give thanks, for this is the will of God. Quench not the spirit, don't hold back. Despise not the prophecies, don't make judgments on what other people say. Prove all things and hold fast that which is good, and abstain from the appearance of all evil. So, one of the things that people really get mistaken here when Paul was saying, he said, in all things give thanks. He didn't say give thanks for all things. So that doesn't mean, I got my butt kicked today, so I gotta be grateful for it. No, you don't have to. Learn your lesson so it don't happen again, of course. So giving thanks is not something you do after the fact. It's something you do before the fact arrives, when you're in the process. So if you're going to, let's say, go out and shop for a new vehicle, before you do, give thanks, knowing that the divine presence is working in you, through you, by means of you, to bring to you what it is that you need that's right and perfect to you and for you. Right? Do it before, not after, because that also not only establishes in consciousness, that giving thanks before is acceptance of the idea that there's a spiritual law that works through us, for us, by means of us, and we activate it. And if we're activating that desire for a new vehicle, well, we're giving thanks knowing that it's going to happen. Right? We don't just do something and wait till after. It's easy to say these, but it's just getting it into the daily practice of doing it. And that's why I like doing this talks, because it reminds me about all these things, because, it's easy to get stupid fast. So, again, what really is the important part here is what the impact of your intention and actions has on the results you want and will experience. So it's all about establishing intention and acceptance of what it is that you want to bring into your experience. I wanted to mention, too, one other thing about this giving and receiving. We got to get this real simple point clear in order for us to grow and learn. When we give, and the person that we give to turns up their nose, snubs us, doesn't say thank you, doesn't appear to be grateful, that is not my problem. That is their problem. My problem comes into play if I go, oh, what kind of a person? I'm grateful. Look at that. Anybody ever do that? You see something in the tank and you never, well, I'll never do that to them again. And you see, that's when we take the gift away from giving until a conditional thing. Because there's an attachment to an outcome. Well, I gave it and didn't have attachment to an outcome. Well, how come when he didn't give you any thanks, you got upset? Because it's an attachment to the outcome. A gift given has to leave the hand and be free. If not, you ain't given. It's conditional. Think about that. It don't matter what it is, even a compliment. Some people give compliments, but it's conditional. They're hoping the person's going to spark up and, you don't do it that way. So it's a very important point in this Thanksgiving thing and giving thanks before as opposed to after. And you always do it after to show gratitude for your gifts, because that's for you. Somebody gives me something, I got to be grateful. Oh, no, you don't have to do that for me. Well, you see, anybody ever do that? So first thing, there's two things here. This is the other end of the same stick. You're saying no to a gift. That's not your job. I remember I was on a weight reduction program, and these folks, they gave me a great big box of really expensive imported toffee for Christmas, just what the waist needed. And I got bent out of shape over it. This is when I really got clear on this one. Okay. And then I go, oh, that's not, no. Because, you see, I'm depriving myself of receiving. And then if you say no to somebody, you double whammy it. You're depriving of them of an opportunity to give. Never deprive somebody an opportunity to give unless they're given too much of their opinion. Then you get to stop. Remember being Santa one time at the end of the season. I was sitting there in the coffee shop, and a big guy walks in like this, and he had an edge on. He comes over to me and he goes, Christmas, blah, 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 blah. And I sit there sipping my espresso, and he goes on for 3 or 4 minutes. Okay, that's it. I stuck my hand in his face. I said, that's it. I've listened to your opinion. Now you're going to listen to mine. So I told him what I thought. I said, now that's my opinion, that's your opinion, go have a coffee. And that's exactly what he did. Okay, so don't get involved in that other stuff. That's giving and receiving in a different way. He gave, I received, and I gave back. But I received properly. I wasn't bent on a shape or anything like that. I allowed him to voice his opinion, because he's entitled to it, just like I'm entitled to mine, and you are to yours. So always remember that. I wanted to talk about the casino and giving thanks, I like working casinos. And I like my job. I always choose the cashier. I've done all of them because I like playing with the money. Not in the count room, because I get to play with the money out there and play with the people in there. And I got that. It's great. And you get to get more of a depth of understanding of people you already know. You meet new people, new experiences. You learn about crime, laundering, and all that kind of stuff. There's all kinds of stuff you learn. A really neat experience. I was really grateful for the opportunity to do that, and the experience I had with all the people there was absolutely wonderful. And I can't like feeding that money because I just pretend it's mine. Try it for something. I got to tell you, it's quite an experience. And remember what, and that's getting into being grateful. And a lot of people have problems with casinos. It's gambling. Gambling's bad. In fact, it's so bad in Louisiana It's illegal. But have you ever been to New Orleans? You know they got this big honking casino there with all the stuff in it. But it's not gambling.
What is it?
Gaming. I don't like gambling. You say, I don't like it either, but I work here because it's gaming. See, it all depends on how you look at stuff, eh? Really interesting. So the last thing I want to talk about here is developing an attitude of gratitude. Dr. Ernest Holmes, in The Science of Mind, said the universe holds nothing against us. No matter how many mistakes we have made, thank God for that. We are still perfect beings within, and the within may become the without if we will carefully train ourselves to listen to the inner voice of truth, which speaks to us in our moments of quietness and solitude. And the voice spoke to me, and it said, when I said I would be of service, I could get my life back, and it provided me many ways to be of service. And you know, when you're of service, you never know what the impact will be on the people you're doing the activity with and how it will go. I was at the football game Friday night, and I was chatting with my buddy Mick. I've been buddies with him for 52, 53 years, really close. And when I was a minister in Red Deer, Mick was making his transition from his former life into his new life in prison. Okay. It's a good place to get a new start if you get yourself twisted around. And so we got a good group going there, and we got this big event planned for all the people there that were in this group. And they were having a family barbecue, and I'm coming in and I'm doing a seminar on choices. Okay? So I did this seminar on choices, and they recorded it, and they really liked it there, and that was part of Mick's transition. He went from that to come back out. He's a very successful business owner, owns a motorcycle shop, and he did a lot of fundraising for youth, and he's on the national board of the 7 Steps program. This is a group that helps prisoners that get out of jail rehabilitate back into society so they don't go back to prison, because there's a high rate of recidivism with prisoners, you know. And so he does that. And, you know, he was met a young man that just was in the transition program and got released a couple of months ago. Now, this really touched me, and it really touched him. And this guy looked at him and said, "Hey, you're that guy on that video." What video? Well, they got, you know, choices things. He said anybody that goes through the release program before they're released there have to watch that video. 30 years. Okay? 30 years they've been doing that. We didn't know it, but, you know, we did our work. And so the work, when you give with an attitude of gratitude, continues to keep on giving. And so what's the payback for me? Hearing something like I just shared with you. Wow. Never really thought about it, eh? Just like Johnny Appleseed, remember, folks. When you go do your work, you plant the seeds. But you don't have to go back to see if they're growing and if there's any apples on them, do you? Did Johnny Appleseed do that? No, he was too busy planting seeds and doing the work. Doing the work, you don't have to see what the results are, because if you're doing the work from the right place and with an attitude of gratitude, you will get the results. So one of the things in this program that is an important thing that I always tell people is I always talk to them about birds. Not jailbirds, but birds. 2 birds, the eagle and the turkey. Has anybody ever seen a turkey where they have turkeys? An old-time farmer, my grandfather has a turkey pen, and they have a particular way of pecking around and all the stuff that's down there, and they're kind of restricted. And then the other one is an eagle. Anybody ever watch eagles? I love watching eagles. They're the highest flying bird we got. So, you see, I always tell people that in this case, you can choose to soar with the eagles or scratch with the turkeys. A turkey doesn't have no choice, and neither does an eagle. But we do. We do. And if you're scratching like a turkey, you're looking at the results that are immediately around you, and you're not taking the higher view and seeing the bigger picture. So that's the way you can tell whether you're a turkey, and you don't have to be Thanksgiving, that's another thing, but whether you're a turkey or an eagle. You know, it's easy to tell. Depends on your perspective and your view. So if you're stuck, raise it up, have a little bit bigger of a perspective, and know that it don't matter how many mistakes you've made. When you turn to the light responds. When I first got into this 40 years ago, 42, 43 years ago now, I had a 19-year career of crime and violence and drug addiction, all that kind of stuff, gangs. And I went to the 12-step program, and they said, make a list of all the bad things you've done, people you hurt. Then you got to make amends. I didn't have that much time. My list was going to be way too big, and that's not only the stuff I can remember. I'm really scared about the stuff I forgot. And I come across this, and I realized, no, it's not like that. All I got to do is do the good work and start there, and it will respond. And it did. And things have been pretty darn good. Hey, Santa season starts November 13th for me. Yeah, that's a whole there. We're doing really good. So one other thing I wanted to share here before I close up is another little story. And I want you to think about this. A friend of mine, I was having a coffee not too long ago when she was there, and she was a little bit down. Because in the last 4 years, she's lost 4 members of her family. They died. And she's looking for a few words of wisdom from me. Of course, sometimes my words of wisdom are a little bit strange. And I looked at her and I said, you should be grateful. Not grateful that they're dying? No, not at all. Be grateful that you've been blessed with an opportunity to live life long enough to be able to experience it. Yeah, that's a penalty, but that's the penalty that you have to pay for living a long life. So don't look at it as a bad thing. Be grateful for it. And the last thing I want to go is these 3 things to remember to help you move forward. 1, the life in front of you is more important than the life you left behind. 2, ask yourself if what you are doing is getting you closer to where you want to be tomorrow. 3, don't be a prisoner of your past. It was a lesson, not a life sentence. So go forward with that attitude of gratitude, looking at yourself in the mirror, giving thanks before you do your activities, and knowing that God is good, God is good, God is great, so are we, and so it is.
Yeah.